big fish from deep venues. I just absolutely love this style of technical fishing. And it's now time to lift the lid on the perfect rigs. Oh, spoiler alert, we've absolutely sacked up. Right, everybody, you join me here today at a wonderful little fishery local to me. It's called the Donington Lake in Castle Donington, funnily enough. It's part of a wider extent of the fishery that's back over the other side of the motorway there. Maybe a bit noisy today. We have got the motorway in the background. Hopefully won't be too bad though. But it's a big, old sort of like gravel pit, very deep. And I'm going to emphasise the word deep because it's probably, 11, 12 foot in places. So what we're going to be looking at today is targeting fish in that depth of water. And it's going to be all about how to feed it, show you different types of rigs we can use. There's also going to be some feeding strategies in there for you. So plenty to go through, because when you're targeting deep water, there's actually a lot of different things to consider. And if you don't get it right, you're going to end up in a bit of a mess and a bad day. So there's plenty of lovely fish in here to catch. Some lovely big bream, like big black, them old sort of fish. There's some smaller skimmers, hybrids, roach, perch. There's even some like really nice looking carp in here. So hopefully we're going to hook a few of those today. And we're going to show you exactly how to target all these fish in deep water. Right, so I've fed the peg and I've chosen to fish two areas of my peg today. So obviously we're targeting deep water today. So I fed one at 13 metres in roughly 11 foot of water. The bottom's quite nice there. It's not still sloping away sharply as it does if you come further back, which is quite important. I want it fairly flat but slightly onto the shelf, if that makes sense. Plumbed it up there. It's a nice lovely area to fish. I fed that with groundbait. So I fed it at the start with 6 pots, and I've put 250 mil of loose bait in those 6 pots. So I know exactly what I've got in my peg. That should be enough to hold any bigger fish, bream, tench, hybrids, carp, that sort of thing. It's got a lot of, I've fed it in like a big area so that I can get plenty of fish in my peg, then they're going to be happy and sit there. So this lake is, Dono here today, it's sort of like an old gravel pit. So the water's ever so slightly clearer than probably what it would be at, say, if you went somewhere like, I don't know, Hayfield or Messingham or somewhere like that. But it's synonymous with quite a few different venues around the country where you're faced with this deep water. So it's looking about what we're doing with the feeding in that area. So that's my line that I've sort of earmarked for bigger fish. I've also plumbed up a short line on a top 5, which is probably maybe half the depth. It's probably 5.5 foot there. All I've done there, and it's just to really start the session, I've fed a small little golf ball with some wet ground bait, and all I'm doing is I'm feeding a few maggots over it. Now, what I don't want to do, I don't want to start loose feeding out there straight away, potentially bring like loads of roach into my peg, for example, and then it like spook the bream and they don't settle, and that it can be a bit of a disaster, that. So I like to feel my way into what to do. So I'll start on this short line, and I might catch, some small fish there to begin with, which is what I'm hoping for. If I do catch like a bigger skimmer or something like that, then fantastic. I know that will then tell me what I can do at that depth out there. So if you're catching a skimmer in 5.5 foot of water here, then it makes sense that they'll probably be on the same gradient further out into the lake, because they do sit off the bottom a lot as well. Bream and skimmers sit up in the water. So you can catch them here fishing shallow as well. I know this from being experienced on this particular venue. So it could be one of those days, but it could also be a day where they want to feed on the bottom and we're topping up regularly with small balls of ground bait. Could it be maggots? Could it be casters? Could it be worms? All different things that we've got to try and decide on the day, because every day is different depending on wind, rain, water temperature, air pressure. All of that will affect where the fish want to be in the water column. And the thing is with deep water, just because you plumb up on the bottom doesn't mean to say that the fish want to be there. They can be miles off the bottom and not want to eat. But you might catch some if you start to ping a few casters out or something, perhaps, and then fish through the water for them. Not like it on all venues, but on some. So I'm going to get the session started short. I'm going to lay the rig in. I'm going to see what's happening as well, because it's a slightly bigger lake and it's affected by the wind. The tow will be a factor today. I know this again from fishing here and from fishing similar venues as well. You've got to learn how to lay your rig in the right way. So by starting short, it'll probably tell me which way the tow's going, how to best lay my rig in, and how to get the most bites. So going to start short, slip a maggot on, and start fishing. And then hopefully later on, we'll get some slightly bigger fish further out. Right, so we're going to start on this short maggot line. Now, the rig I've got on, it's actually very light. It's probably, oh, bite there straight away. Looked like a bit of a carp bite, that, to be honest. It's actually perhaps a little bit light, but you can just see how it's going to go through. So I do want a light rig when I'm fishing like this, because I want it to bite there straight away. Like a little perch or something. Oh no. Little hybrid. Could have probably swung in, but lovely, beautiful little fish. Look at that lot. Fantastic. The little hybrid to start off with. It's a good sign. So by starting on this short line and a single maggot, and I fed that tiny little ball of ground. I have not fed a big area, so I can get a quick start here without having to wait too long to catch. So I'm just going to flirt a few maggots in over the top. I'm laying my rig in. I want it falling through the water like that. That probably took it off the bottom, that did, to be honest. But what I do want is to know how to lay my rig in properly here, because I'll just do an example. So I think what's happening is the wind's coming this way and the tow's going that way or slightly towards me. So if I put my rig in that way round, might still get a bite, because I'm sat on my own on this lake, so probably going to be quite decent today, I would have thought. But what's going to happen is that's going to come round and it's almost got to catch up with the tow. Did get a bite, look. But there'll always be one way to lay your rig in that's better than another. And it could be that, like, I need to flick out past it, little perch there. Could be that I need to flick out past, further past my bait. Could be that I need to lay it into to the right, to the left. What I'm trying to do, I'm trying to work out what's best. So there'll be a way that I'll get the most bites by doing it. Bit short with the feed in there, bit bad. Because it's this side of my float, I'm not bothered. So I'm laying that in now, look, and it's almost like I know that it's wanting to, the toes, it's coming underneath. So if a fish takes that bait while it's still cocking like that and it's facing this way, then I'm not gonna see the bite as fast. So if I lay it in the other way and I hold on to it, oh, see I bumped that one. And I think that's because I'm laying it in the wrong way. So I'm not seeing the bite quick enough. I think that was a perch again. It's a lovely lake to fish this, to be fair. It's like, there's quite a few venues around the country that are like this. Nice deep lakes, and where you catch some good quality silverfish at this time of year. What I'm going to do, I'm just going to bury my line under the water now, and I'm going to lay it in that way. And because my bait's falling the same way as what I think the current's going, that's it. Probably see the bite a little bit faster. Like I said, this rig is probably tiny. It was my disgorger, tiny little perch this, but they all count this time of year, especially if you're fishing a match. We've just got like one of the match kits on the 500. It's got 6 elastic in there, 6 solid. Tangle there, look, terrible, terrible. Flick round. What you also have to consider is like later today that the toe might actually change as well. So we've just got to keep an eye on it. So I'm just going to now, instead of like trying to hold on to it, I'm just going to actually pull my line this side of my float. There we go. Bite straight away. Pull a few more maggots. Chunky little perch. It's great to just get bites this time of year, isn't it? It's lovely. I love it. It's silverfish fishing. I think as long as you're getting bites this time of year, I think you're happy. Well, I'm happy anyway, I know that. Just want to work out what's going off. Now, I want to really, with them a long line, I want to try and leave it for 40 minutes probably. I kind of feel sometimes, especially with Bream, and when you've fed a volume of bait, that, just check that bait, missed a bite there, that the longer you leave it, the better it gets. Sometimes, like in the winter, like depends on how cold it is really, but sometimes if the only way you can leave an area of bait, especially if you're fed an amount for like 3 hours and just fish it for the last 2. But it's about knowing how long to give them fish the confidence to come in and sit over it. I mean, at the minute, we're in November. So it's like sort of mid-November, quite early still in the old silverfish campaign. So it's actually a little skimmer, look. It's a hybrid again. That took it on the drop, that one. Yeah, it's about knowing how long to leave that. Because it's, like I say, a little bit warmer today, I know that probably after 40 minutes or so, it's actually going to be okay to have a look. And I think as well, when you're feeding bigger areas of bait, it takes the fish more time to come over it. So it's about weighing up how long it's going to take. So ground bait wise today, I've gone for Sono F1 and some sweet skimmer. Now it's quite well. It's not overly fish mealy basically this time of year. It's got a little bit in it, but in terms of like how to mix it up, it's actually super easy. Like make it simple for myself really. So I've got a set of measuring cups, and you can just use 250ml cup at home if you want to, and measure it out every time. And like for today, I've done 1.5 litre of ground bait. So that's like six 250ml pots dry, okay? And all I've done with that, I've done it at home before I've come, just so it's like had time to take on the water. So to 1.5 litre of ground bait, I've done 3/4 litre of water. And I know from mixing that once it's gone together, you mixed it. It goes a little bit like stodgy and stuff when you first do it, but just leave it in. And I leave it till I get here. Once I get on the bank, put it for a riddle, and it's virtually ready to go. Might want a tiny little tweak when you're here, and you can do that as well when you're fishing. You can add a little bit more water to it, make it a bit more stodgy if you want to, but at least you've got a good sort of base mix there, ready to go. Right, so we've caught a few fish off this short line now. Give us a good little indication into what's happening in the water. I've had enough time for that ground bait out there to settle and develop, and then open up, and all my baits like now, or the vast majority of it, will be exposed. I'm going to go in there and have a look and see what happens. So just pick that other rig up. It's 1.5 grams this, so nice and stable, high bulk. Feel like is important for stability as well. So nice green slick in there. So I just need to sort of, this is like my sort of testing go, if you like. I'm going to flick it in the same way as what I was doing short. And what I want to do is, like, because the fish might be off the bottom, if I can, is try and, when the wind's not so strong, just try and hold it up and let everything settle down as much as possible. It's quite hard to do sometimes, this, but I just want it to settle up. Now, the other thing that's probably worth mentioning is the tow out there might actually be slightly different to what it is short, because it's in a different part of the lake. It's not necessarily always the same. Generally it is on smaller lakes, but a lot of the time it isn't. So I've not had any signs there. There's an odd fish topping. What I'm looking for is, I'm just looking for like indications on my float, like letting me know there's a bit of a slow, I'm going to pick up at that. Little fish on the bottom, not necessarily a good sign, but a little perch. So I'm going in with double dead red maggot, fed at the start if you remember. Fed some dead reds, fed some casters, and a few micro pellets. So I've got an option of putting worms in if I want to. I've got an option of changing hook baits too as well if I want to. I can fish caster, I can fish worm, combinations of both. Hold that nice and steady. It's actually sitting there really nice, that. You probably see as well, like, I've got a fairish amount of line above my float. It's not really short, like tight. I don't like to fish like that. A lot of the time on commercials, you see people with like really short lengths of line to the float. You can't, especially in deep water, you just cannot keep control of it properly. You've got to take into account everything's emphasised a little bit more. So whilst it's in shallower water, you can get away with shorter line to your rigs and stuff. Deeper water, you've got to think it's got to be a little bit more. There's a fish just topped past the pole there. Now I'm already, I sort of feel like I've got to pick the catapult up. That's what my gut instinct's telling me, that's what I've got to do. There's a bit of a lift there. I don't know if you caught that on the camera. That's what I think I've got to do, but see, it could be. I think the fish are there. Sometimes, like I say, they just don't want to be on the bottom. Actually sitting there really nice, that floater. Like, I'm happy with the presentation. I think that's gone. There it goes. Ooh. I think that's actually a perch. Could be a little skimmer. I think it's a perch, though, to be honest. Yeah. Right, so because I've caught another perch, what I'm going to do, I'm going to pour a top-up ball in. Make a small little ball, soft as well. Just see if I can get a response on it. Let's have a look. Feed a small wettish ball. Just see if I can get one to go down. It's not going to be big. So you feed one of them like that. See if I can get one to go down on it. Wet my cup. Pop him in. Remember that I'm on the dolly butt there, so I'm going to drop it in from a bit of a height. There we go. Whop him. So I fed that little top-up ball. Caught a perch, lost a perch. Sort of immediately after doing it. Had another indication when my float's like lifted slightly again. But not getting any proper bites. Now, if there was any amount of skimmers, Bream, down there, and they were eating, I would have picked up on one or probably missed a few more bites, I feel. So, because it's warm, I actually just think the fish are sat right up in the water column still. We had some cold, well, not cold rain, but we had some rain the other day, yesterday. And I just feel like that's maybe gone to the bottom and the fish will just be sat up off the deck. And I'm looking around and I can see there's odd fish topping all around the lake. What I don't want to do is another one there, look. And what I don't want to do is just sit there and sit there and sit there and like not make anything happen. Like if I pick the catapult up, I'm going to just start loose feeding like 8 or 10 casters. Not all the time, but just to make a little bit of noise on the water. and to put something through the water column and see if I get different indications on my float whilst I'm fishing on the bottom. I can also pick up that other rig to fish through the water and still fish on the deck and see if I pick up more bites that way, because I just feel like that's what I need to do today. I just don't feel it's cold enough for the fish to be down in that depth of water at this time of year. That's a bream. Yeah. Right, so I've been loose feeding for about probably 20 minutes now, and felt like I was getting better indications than that. Making something happen, basically. Tried up in the water, nothing happened. But I've just gone back down on the deck, gone past my feed again, and I think got a resident skimmery. Pop him up, there he is. Nice long landing net, look, as well, so you can get out to him, because I'm fishing a bit deeper. You'll notice there as well, look, I broke down on my number 3 section, so I can net the fish. Makes it a little bit more easy for me to net the fish. But look at that, look. Beautiful. What a lovely, gorgeous fish, look. They're absolutely immaculate, these fish in here. A lot of them. 2 dead reds, that one. Pop them in the net. Give them the old slide down. Here we go, mister. See you in a bit. Right. And I did have another bite before that as well, like a better another like little lift sort of indication. So could be that it's one of them days where they just take a while to start to feed. But I definitely feel like me loose feeding a bit of bait has brought them fish round. So I suppose we'll find that soon enough, because I'm gonna have another go out there now. So just flick it out past. I'm going to try and emulate exactly what I did last time. So flick it out past. Hold it. Try and hold it still as you can. Although it is really difficult when it's like windy like this. Just like now drop it in nice and slow. Just let the rest of that rig settle up and it'll all just sort of settle in there nice. But it was a lovely bite, that. Proper bite. And it got it probably an inch down in its mouth. We've done that. Oh, another bite there. Yep, there we go. I think that is another one. Be nice if it was. Just take your time with them, nice and steady. That green slick in there, look. So I'm fishing a little bit stronger elastic, so I've got to set the hook in the deeper water. What these want to do, they want to pop up like a little bit further out. So I'm going to take that section off again, pull it round to my left hand side. You see it trying to come up there. Round to my left hand side, and look at my bulk, and then he'll come up. With the long landing net, you'll get him in, like that. Brilliant. Fantastic fishing. Absolutely love this type of fishing when it's like that. Another bream. 2 in 2 chucks. You don't need many of them to do well in matches at this time of year. So we'll put him back nice and gentle in there, look. Go in the net. We'll have a look at him later. So, just going to repeat the process again. repeat the process. So, got 2 dead red maggots up through the fin end. And 1, 2, like that. Take a bit of care and attention to how you hook it. And I did loose feed a bit of bait. What I'm going to do now, look. Watch what I'm going to do. So I'm going to get my catapult. I know roughly where I'm fishing. I'm just going to ping a bit of bait out before I ship out. Oh, I think I've got a fish. As I'm shipping out there, I reckon a perch has had it. Yeah, it has, look. Hey! Let's check them maggots. Yeah, they'll be okay. So, sorry, before I was rudely interrupted by that little perch, so what I'm going to do, ship back out. So I've loose fed that little bit of bait before I've gone out. Right? But what it'll do is it'll give it time to fall through the water before I get there. So I'm imagining it's probably going to be getting near the bottom now. So I'm just going to hold the rig up, and if there's any bream skimmers that have followed that down, I'm going to try and trick one with putting my hook bait right in amongst it, because that last bite, it had definitely followed the bait down. Little indication there. I'll just, it's probably, I've probably got that 3 inches of a depth here. Toe's not too bad. In fact, there's hardly any really. But it's just sitting there nice. You grab an half rig, and like with them shots Harry explained earlier, and that keeps it nice and stable. Right, so I'm just going to run them 2 fish, and I think I like picked up at like another indication that almost like bump one. That might be one. Right, I think them fish, they've just gone back off the bottom. So what I'm going to do, take my little dolly butt off. Got 2 indications now where my float's lifted right up, and that's telling me that there's fish there, but they've gone back off the bottom. It can sometimes be that they're picking your bait up and moving back up to where they're happy. But I feel sure if I put a little small, what I'm going to do, I'm just like, my groundbait's sort of like our class as normal now. So put a few casters, a few maggots in there, and I put a tiny amount of chopped worm in it as well. Just like a little bit, small sort of space, you can call it a conker, can't you? Conker sized ball. But it's like, I've just given it a little squeeze. And what I want that to do is, I don't necessarily want it to go to the bottom, like intact. I want it to almost break up a little bit on the way down. So I'm going to hold my Pollard right in the on the joint there and just drop it in. And then quite often you'll get one when you drop your rig back in where that ball's gone in or near it. So I suppose now is a good time to test that theory. So what I think happens is they'll go down, they might eat for like a few minutes or whatever, and then they'll just come and drift back up. And then that's when you get them like funny indications on your float fishing in this deep water. So what we need to do is work out how is best to get them to go back down more often than they probably want to, if you know what I mean. So I caught the last 2 on 2 red maggots. I'm still going to loose feed them casters as well, because I feel like that's important. I feel like that's drawing some fish in. But I might need to do like a little combination of both. So that's what I'm going to attempt now. So I'm flicking it out past my bait there. Yeah. right where that ball went in. So I'm going to be ever so slightly past it, which is good, because I feel like when you're fishing for skimmers and bream, a lot of the time they're out in the lake and they're coming this way. And I think that's why you catch so many flicking your bait out past, is because it's almost the way that the fish is facing and they see it. Gone straight away. So that did look like a little fish bite, didn't look like a skimmer. Just to try and hold that float nice and still. It's lovely when the wind goes right, you can do it really nice and gentle and like lower it really slowly in. You'd be amazed how many times you get bites when you can like lower it in properly. Incredible, really. Drop it in there, leave it on the rest. Just dipped up, like you see that? Little dip up. I'm gonna, don't know, call this like gut feeling, but I feel like 2 lots of casters seems to be the best way to loose feed it, and then like not like every sort of 3 or 4 minutes, not doing it all the time. Some fish they definitely went down after that bit of bait. There we go. Might be foul up this. Feels weird. Feels a little strange. Very slow bite as well. Strange. I don't know if it is. Might be hooked in the side, this. You do get these sort of problems when you're fishing in this deep water. So if it is, if you do think it's foul hooked, like with skimmers and bream, I'm going to famous last words here, but you do have a good chance of getting it in sometimes, because you can like just pick it out like that, give it a stand up. Ooh. Oh, he's not. That's a bad bit of netting. It's a big fish, to be fair. Awful bit of netting, but that is a whopper. Oh, he's a lovely fish. Look at him. Size of him. Oh yes, we'll have some of that. Look at that, baby. I bet he's a really thick fish. I'd probably say it's £5, that one. He's good. He's a good 4+. Really heavy fish, can feel it. Missed him in the net there, but that was, see, that I suppose proves the point perfectly that they needed that little top-up ball to get one to go down, to get it to follow your hook bait down. Perfect example, really. I couldn't have, like, if I could have done a video and made a video and got that any better, then that's what I'd have done. But yeah, fantastic. Great fishing. So, got another extension there, look, and I can go probably another foot past where I'm fishing now. So if I think I want to pick another one off right at the back edge of the feed, I mean, you can do this with your normal pole as well. Like you can put your 14.5 metre section on, though you are restricted to the size of that section and going a full section past your bait, but that does work as well. That's a nice bite. That looks big. Feels like it might be a carp, actually, that. Take your time, shoot it back. I think it is a carp. Staying very deep. Yeah, that's got to be a carp. If not, it's probably the world's biggest bream. There is some massive bream in here, I must admit, but this is... Oh yeah, it is a bream. Just fighting really weird, that. Might be out of Trent, this one, I think. Now that's why it's winged him, look. Show you that. That's why it's fighting weird. The side of its fin, look, see that? So you do get that, and especially in deep water, it's quite common, really. But if you got, to be honest, if you got the right tackle on, you look in the right place, you'll still get them out. Like if that was hooked in side of its body, for example, maybe, I'd have probably lost it because it was hooked in the fin. Now, what I'm going to do is add, if you remember, and then like a bit of a funny indication. That one was like a kind of a dib and then a go under bite. What I'm going to do, I think I need to top up, but I'm just conscious that I don't want to do loads of it. So, sort of like, I've got to do it, but I'm just going to feed like a small little, probably a tiny bit smaller than that last one I fed that. A little bit. Certainly some fish there now, I feel like, anyway. Take your time chopping this up so it's on that section there. And then I'm going to just drop it from a little bit of a height, make it a little plop. So a plop. And then what I'm imagining is that little ball's going down and there's like bits breaking off, and then it's getting towards the bottom, and then it's opening out near the bottom. It just leaves like a little bit of a cloud. And that is what I want, because I'm trying to attract a fish from where it's sat up in the water, and I'm trying to get it to go down. If you think about it, a bit like a feeder, really, where your feeder's going in, and the amount of times you go in and you set your tip on a feeder, and then it will just go straight round. It's just because it's followed the feeder down. It's exactly the same principle. Right, so just had some funny indications and just catch this last fish after a topple. Now, I do really believe that the fish have come right up in the water. And I'm actually itching to try my shallow rig, because I think that's where they've gone. So there's a slightly smaller fish this time. Because it took me quite a while to get that one. So what I'm going to do, get that shallow rig on in a second, and then I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the pole that I'm using. Right, so if you've been watching me fishing today, you probably noticed that I'm using the new XTR 500. This pole is absolutely ideal for me. personally. I feel it's right to choose a pole for you. So the style of fishing that I do, which is generally a lot of the time I'm fishing at like 12, 13 meters, fish on rivers a lot, big lengths of line, so I'm using longer kits, picking up a lot. So it's got to take a lot of hammer. Now, this pole is like, it's incredibly strong, but still incredibly stiff. So I feel like it's really good value for money in terms of what it offers me as an angler fishing these type of venues that I do. So some of the standout things for me on this pole is its stiffness, for one. It's incredibly stiff, especially at 13 meters. It's like unbelievable. It's strong, and it suits the type of venues that I like to fish. So like, if you imagine I'm fishing a river, for example, and I'm picking up, because you've got run your float through, and probably picking up like 600-700 times during a match maybe. It's got to be, like, the back sections have to withstand all that hammer. So for me, this is ideally suited to that type of fishing that I do. But equally, when I come out in the winter and I go on commercial silvers, etc., it's fantastic. I can sit there fishing it at 14.5 meters without a problem, and it's lovely to hold and to use. Fantastic all-round bit of kit, and if you've not had a look at one, I strongly suggest you do if you do the type of fishing that I do. Right, so because you might notice on the camera that the lake has changed a little bit now. So it's gone still, and it means obviously the conditions have changed slightly. Now, I said to you before that I felt like the fish are going to come up, and that it was worth another go shallow, because I caught a few of them where they'd gone down for the bait, and they'd like basically got a massive lift bite where they'd like moved all the shot up. So I thought, I'm going to try shallow again, because the conditions have changed. It's gone a bit flatter, a bit warmer. Just feel like there might be one or two to catch like this now. I've gone in, and when I didn't have a bite before, I've gone in and first chuck I had a little hybrid. Another bite there, look. So I've put double maggot on, because I was fishing that on the bottom. So a little bit of a standout bait. Now it might be that there isn't any fish there to catch, and it might just be full of roach. So I'm just gonna loose feed, just like laying the rig in really. Quite simple. I'm gonna hang on to it a little bit. The toes all like died down now and stuff. But it could be like a case you might catch a couple of fish, but they spook, move back. Could be that they still want to be a bit further down in the water. Look like a bit of a decent bite in the water column. So they could not be they might not be happy sat right up in the water. Might be like half depth. Oh. Not a bream, I don't think, but it might be. Just up to fish shallow here. I don't know what it is, but it feels decent. a little while. A couple of roach to begin with. I feel like it might be a bream actually, I think. Just using a little bit lighter elastic for this setup, so I don't want to spook any fish in the water. Up in the water. Oh, it is a bream, look at that. Woohoo! Yeah! Shallow bream. It's a big one. Nice fish. I think that proves nice little point. There he is. Carp. Right, just hooked another fish shallow. I was just about to come off it, but I think this is a carp, to be honest. Not really got the kit on for it, but it's going to be a massive bream if it is one. Yeah, just I was just about to come off that shallow because it's gone a bit like water's really still now. The sun's out, and I just sort of feel like it's like the fish are there, but they don't. This is definitely a carp, but they don't want to. Probably don't want the pole over their heads and that, 'cause it's a fairly clear lake. This, it's like, that's what we've got to think. So it's not like we're fishing a really sort of heavily coloured commercial water. It's got to be a carp. Yeah, I feel it's heavy fish. Probably going to get absolutely destroyed in a minute, but when it actually realises it's some massive carp in it, it realises it's hooked. I've got him. It's not a bad size, is it? So after a go shallow, we had that bream, and then had about a little 5-minute wait, I'd say. No other sign. Then got a lovely bite again. Up to massive carp. Luckily, I actually got it out, to be fair, on 010. It was lovely. It's probably about 14 pound, great big thing. One of the big old fish that's in here. So what I want to do now, just like, obviously I've caught a fish like that, but I just feel like it's a little bit still. Need to probably go back down nearer the bottom again. So I'm going to put a little top-up ball in, and I'm just going to put through the water rig on and try and see if I can like lift in and drop in, because it's stiller now. I'll be able to get away with that rig. I know I will. So I'm going to try that, and then see if we can catch another one just before we finish up. So with this rig, I'm laying it in differently again. So because the conditions have gone nice, I can get away with fishing this rig. Now, because it's a bit lighter, and I can get more of a fall on the bait, so I'm more likely to pick a fish up on the drop. And I can lift and drop it a little bit easier. I'm not just got that sort of static presentation that I had before with the bigger rig. So got a little indication on it there. So I feel like now this rig is perfect for the conditions we've got. That was a bite there, look, you see. I just want to, like, if you just pick it up on a camera, but I'm going to like flick that little string of shot in. So I'm flicking it out that side, and then I'm bringing my float over the top of it. So I'm like almost directly over where my shots have gone in. So I'm not like holding onto it through the water. I'm letting it go through the water, but I'm not like hanging onto it as such. So I feel like it will still get down through like any like pesky roach and stuff, and give me a better chance of catching a proper fish, if you know what I mean. It's just a small detail, but something that can be very important as well at times. Like how you're putting your rig in the water and what different types of presentation you're trying to achieve. Like when I was fishing the shallow rig, I had my float quite static for quite a long period of time. I wasn't like keep laying it in, because I feel like with Bream skimmers, they sort of sit there at a depth, and you've kind of just got to like almost get one to have a go at it. Oh, that was a bite. Oh, lovely bite that. So feed a few casters, flick it in. Might be a few carp starting to get a bit active now. It might be a few carp bites. Just like when you see it on the bottom of your float where it just picks up the shot, you lay it in, you still get that lovely little fall where it drops in. It's a great way of laying your rig in. Sometimes for skimmers and bream and stuff, especially in deeper water. Little indication there. That's the bite. Lovely. I don't think that could have gone any better, that, to be honest. That was really nice. So that was exactly what I was talking about, in that one's watched it come down, had it on the drop, and they've just got that little dink on the float. Lovely little dink you get with. See that, look? There he goes. Another absolutely cracking fish. And I bet you, yeah, it has. Oh, there we go, look, just to prove a point. Straight in the top lip. And that is because that fish has chased that bait, and I've seen the indication immediately on the float. So that'll lead me very nicely into a bit of a more in-depth chat about the rigs and what each one does and what we're trying to achieve with them. So I'll just go through those with you now and explain all the shotting patterns, etc., for each different one. Okay, so we've been through the feeding. Now we're going to come to the next very important part, which is the rigs. And more importantly, the correct rigs for what you're trying to achieve in the water. So I'm going to talk you through them briefly. I've got 3 set up today. And they all do different jobs at different times of the day, depending on conditions, okay? So I'll start at the top end. So we've got 8 to 10 green slick in there. Chose this elastic simply because I want to set the hook in deep water. Got to set that hook. It's no good fishing like a number 6, for example, or something like that, and not setting the hook properly, and you're potentially losing the fish. So this is on a top 4 section, which is basically 3 sections, so my top kit plus 2. got probably 11 foot of water, I would say, today. So I've got, first of all, a 1.5 gram round-bodied rig, nice visible tip on it. This is for keeping the bait still when the conditions are slightly against you. So when there's a wind on it, when there's tow, when I want to put the bait steady on the bottom. Now, a lot of people, they might use like an Olivet or rigs of, you know, that sort of description. But what I actually like to do with this, what I feel is really important, is I like my bulk set quite high from where my hook is. That, if I measure it on my arm, it's longer than my arm, so it's probably like a metre, I would say. Metre, maybe a metre and a half. I've got some number 8 shots there, and then below, in a tapered fashion, I've got number 10s, and I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 number 10s below that. So basically what that's doing, when I'm sat there fishing, and I want that bait to be steady, so that you imagine that's resting on the bottom, 6-inch hook length there, XSB hook in an 18, and I've got that resting on the bottom, and then this part here is keeping my bait dead still, right? If I had this bulk further down here, for example, you've got all that line in between where your bulk and where your Olivet is that can move about. And don't get me wrong, there are days when that can work and it's better and you might need to fish even further over depth and really nail it to the bottom. But I believe that this rig is really important to get stability in adverse conditions, because you'll still get that natural little fall below. So if there's one like sat up off the bottom, it might, you know, it can home in on it, grab it. But that's a superb way to shot your floats to get a nice, stable and steady presentation. Okay, so that's number 1. Number 2, again, same elastic. So green slick, same elastic. Sorry, I forget to mention 016 main line I use. That's because I want a little bit of durability in the rig. You get a little bit less tangles as well when you fish slightly thicker main line, especially in deep water. Now this one, I've got a carbon stem float. Last one was wire, obviously for stability. Now this one is a carbon stem. Still quite a long float, it's a finesse slim carbon. Decent amount of line from the float to the pole tip. And this one has got the same tapered pattern, but it's just the shot on the line. It's not, there's no bulk above the rig. So this is mainly for, if you look behind me now, like the conditions now, it's nice and still. It's gone flat. And you can flick the bait in, flick it past your pole tip, and really like hang on to the float ever slightly. And because it's a little bit lighter and that carbon's on it, you just get them bites where it's just dropping in, and you're picking up fish that are taking it on the drop. Perfect for when the conditions like this. And to just sort of almost like, well, not prove a point, but to make a point, if I tried to fish this rig earlier when it was when there was a bit of a chop on the water, and then I didn't get a bite on it, and it's simply because it wasn't being presented correctly to the fish. So this rig has come good really late on in the session when the fish have gone down on the bait, the conditions have gone still, and it's coming to its own then, because I'm just catching one every chuck on it. Perfect, absolutely perfect. And then lastly, I've caught a couple on this one too. It's a shallow rig. So this one is set up, well, it's on a full length of top kit. I've actually gone for number 6 elastic in there, just simply because I'm fishing up in the water. I don't want to spook fish, I don't want them splashing on the top. 0.2 F1 slim float, again carbon, nice little dinky bristle on there that I can see. Important with all your floats to be able to see it so that you can read it. And this one is just literally 3 or 4 shot down the line. Nice, steady, slow fall for fishing up in the water. It's not, it doesn't always come into it, but on certain venues, certain times of year, absolutely deadly. And then bream can be sat up in the water, the skimmers can be sat up in the water as long with the other fish, if the air pressure's right, etc. And this can be a great rig to come into it and pick those extra fish off. Right, just wrapped up the session for today. Had an amazing day here on the Donno Lake at Rycroft Fisheries. It's been fantastic. If you've got a venue near to you that you feel that this type of video might suit, where you're fishing in deep water, go and give it a go. Honestly, you will not be disappointed. I will see you on the bank again soon.